Cool. So over to you, Ernie.
Oh, good stuff. Thank you very much, Keith. Good morning to everybody. As Keith said, I'm Ernie Coutts, CEO of Ecosse Global UK. We're very much in the oil and gas business, the energy business, and that covers every aspect of it, if you like, but more so oil and gas, wind energy, not so much solar, but
could someone mute their microphone? Thank you.
Oh, what happened there? Yeah, anyway, so this is a brand new thing for everybody, and quite frankly, to say that it's not affecting businesses, well, anybody that says that's just telling fibs. And the only people that will be doing well out of this will be the supermarkets, with the sounds of it, and the toilet roll manufacturers and the hand gel manufacturers. I just noticed this morning, rather last night, that Louis Vuitton are doing hand gel, as are Brewdog in Dundee. But there you go. So somebody's making money. But as I say, they're strange times. I said to Alison just this morning, it may well be a grand plan by the man upstairs. He may be trying to point out all our wrongdoings in one hit. And the irony, well, not the irony, but the strange thing is China seems to be cleaning its act up to the point where they're now seeing blue sky for probably the last 50 years. As I say, the good thing about there's always a plus and a minus. And what we're doing right now is demonstrating just that. Is there other ways of doing business? And I congratulate the Chamber of Commerce for setting this webinar up, and hopefully it's the first of many. I use this facility quite regularly for my overseas clients, and I have to say it's very successful. And I dare say most of the members, or quite a few of the members, will do similarly. Anyway, as I say, what it does is it points out new working techniques. I was again telling Keith and Alison this morning, I had a word with my medical friend, my neighbour, who is a paediatric neurologist, and she was just telling me that she is now sort of getting herself knuckling down to the fact that she has to do a lot of things remotely. She has patients in Orkney and Shetland, and she's now using a product called Near Me, which is pretty much like this, but it has virtual waiting rooms, etc. And she can actually see her patients in rotation without contact. The downside to that is basically she's not getting contact. But what she's now doing is she's learning to read different signs, whereas in the adult fraternity, for the neurologists, they would be able to tap you with a hammer, etc. Not a real hammer, but one of these nerve hammers. But for kids, she's actually looking for their body language and facial thing. It's not the same as face-to-face, but it's pretty damn good. So what it's doing is it's teaching us different ways, new ways, I suppose, of working. And that could be rolled out. I think everybody hopefully will take something away from that. The working from home thing is just not a bad thing. It depends. A lot of folk have got different views on working from home. I think I personally am a great believer in, if you can do it certainly at this stage, and avoid the unnecessary contact. For God's sake, please do it. I don't know how long it's going to take for the likes of Dundee to realise that, but certainly Edinburgh are going about their normal business, which seems to me the penny hasn't quite dropped. On the downside, especially in the energy business right now, I mean, we're looking at the supply chain being seriously affected, and especially stuff that's coming from overseas, etc. And I dare say some of you guys will feel the same eventually. The temptation is to buy stocks and stockpile them. Well, in my business, you can't do that. A lot of my stuff is bespoke, or we're using resin mixes. We've got to do all sorts of weird and wonderful things with our components, and it's not always possible to put in stocks. But at the same token, we've got clients that are screaming their head off at us to get things offshore in the oil patch. So that's being affected. And I realised this morning that there's some strange things going on there as well. For instance, they reckon there's going to be about 200 businesses in the oil and gas business that will pretty much go to the wall because of this. The vast proportion of them will be, the North Sea business will be shared between Norway and the UK. So they're reckoning, unless we get ourselves sorted out and get some methodology put in place, workable methodology, I think about 200 businesses, small to medium businesses. Supply chain issues, we are going to get that. We have had a couple of letters in only this morning saying, that some of our suppliers are sending staff home, but trying their best to mitigate the problem by having some of the office staff and the hands-on people, the actual folk manufacturing stuff, doing the normal sort of hand washing and respirators, and basically following the code of practice that's set out. So it will be a bit problematic, but it's going to be problematic for everybody. As I said, one of the other things we're hearing is that quarantine issues for guys going offshore. For instance, some guys we're dealing with Dubai Petroleum at the moment, and Dubai Petroleum, I'm hearing they've actually commandeered a hotel in Dubai, so that some of their employees they simply get longer off and longer on. Some guys that are due back in 3 weeks' time have got to go back 2 weeks early and book themselves into the hotel for 2 weeks and be checked out before they're allowed to go back on the platform. And vice versa, guys coming off the platforms to go and leave have got to go basically chop 2 weeks off their leave that way. And so it definitely is changing. It's definitely a strange set of affairs that's going down. I heard from my Nigerian guys this morning that one of them actually works remotely anyway. He's in Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast is in lockdown, as is parts of Nigeria in lockdown. So it's a pretty serious state of affairs. Again, I was saying to Alison and to Keith, one of the areas in the energy market that seems to be, faring okay, and yet I think supply chain issues will hit them as well, as the wind energy sector. So, I mean, hats off to them if they can keep that going. That's fantastic. But I do suspect that supply chain issues will impact them. The plan, how it's affecting me, well, I've said, hopefully it doesn't hit me too hard. Things like new builds, for instance, if we were to depend on our business would depend on new platforms and new FPSOs being built, we would be seriously hurt. These things are being pushed back, and you'll find that is the case, that some of the new builds, and probably, as they would say, non-essential stuff, has been pushed back to when, I have no idea. So that would have an impact. My business is kind of mixed in so much as we cater for the current platforms that are offshore, desperate to keep them going for as long as they can and as economical as we possibly can, but that's pretty difficult since the oil price has virtually fallen through the floor. And that's another downside to the way things are going just now, is they're kicking us when we're down. We've got this coronavirus and we've got the oil price. Yes, there will be layoffs. Yes, there will be massive redundancies, and that's just the way it's going until until the Russians and the OPEC countries get their act together, well, it's going to take a long time to get that wound healed, I reckon. So that on top of coronavirus, yeah, thanks very much, guys. So the impact to us, it could be varied. I'm not going to go on a downer on the whole thing because, we are quite a resilient lot in the oil patch, and certainly in the energy business, we deal in wind energy as well. So we'll be pedaling that bike for a wee while. And to say, I mentioned new builds there just now. There's China. China actually are the biggest manufacturer. China and South Korea, the biggest manufacturers of oil-related infrastructure. What do I mean by that? I mean platforms, floating platforms, and what they call FPSOs, floating production, storage and offloading. There's big ships like the one you saw in Dundee. Of the 28 that are actually planned worldwide, 22 of them are being made in China. So I'm kind of hoping that, although China's seeing blue skies just now, they kind of slow down that production just a wee bit. And I think we've all got lessons, certainly to learn as regards the environment. And incidentally, just on the China thing, their car sales have plummeted as well. And the same has happened in the UK. And anything, even the new green economy, where we're looking at electric cars and hybrid cars, etc. I mean, these sales have slumped as well, partly related to potential supply chain issues. There's Nissan in northeast England who are really reviewing their position quite seriously as to whether they want to be here, and that's a big downer for the folk in the northeast. So it's a kind of shifting sands just now. Everybody, we don't know where we're going to be, but I think as a country, I think we've got to just knuckle down and do the best we possibly can and share things with each other as we do in the Chamber of Commerce community. Share the good things as well as the bad things, so we can make plans and mitigate the situation. And I would say that, yeah, there are government. What's been announced by the government is all fine and dandy, but small to medium enterprises getting loans at beneficial rates might or might not be the candy that they need. I would say that, I hate to use the words Donald Trump, but he might well have the right idea in putting money out to those that need it, and no questions asked, because there are a lot of companies that will go under because of this. And we're talking about guys in the hospitality industry. They've been hit extremely hard, and they will be for the foreseeable future. How they get their businesses back, I have no idea. They will, if we want to retain businesses, and I'm not just saying it should be hospitality guys that get it. We want to retain business in total, and keep some sort of framework to keep the country alive. Then the government's got to start thinking about maybe the Trump model or a version of it. This happened years ago, if you remember, in the States, and I've got vivid memories of it. I lost my office in New Orleans to Hurricane Katrina, and I'd had that office there for 8.5 years, and the government was basically handing out money to the affected areas. I mean, we got some money from the government right there and then, no questions asked. So, I mean, I'm not saying it will be like that or it should be like that. It would be nice to have something like that, because there are folk worrying about their mortgages, worrying about how they're going to pay their rents, how they're going to pay their bills in general, and it has to be some sort of compromise. So, in summing up, because I'm unfortunately going to have to head off to a funeral today, which is something I'm not looking forward to. I think we've got to just, as I said, look at what we've got. and revise how we do things. Check, do we really need to get on that plane? Do we need to go to wherever it is? The answer is no. Can we link up as we're doing right now and do this efficiently? And it's every bit as friendly. The only thing is, you know, we'll miss the elbow bump at the other end. And frankly, if this is something that we've got to take home and think about, then I'm certainly thinking about it. What really gets to me is the panic that's going on just now. I think we've all got to calm down considerably, and especially with the supermarket situations and toilet rolls and I don't know where the toilet roll thing comes into it, but we've just got to calm down and look after each other. I think this is a lesson for us as human beings to recognise that we are on the planet, to share the planet. Okay, we'd all drive cars. We drive cars sensibly now, though. We don't have to take the car everywhere. And just view things that bit differently. And I keep mentioning to some of my friends about the energy mix, and I'll get my tuppence worth in here because I went on Question Time a couple of weeks back when it was in Dundee, and I couldn't get my hand. I was putting my hand up all the time, but never actually got my question answered. One of the biggest problems I have is if we dedicate all our activities to one energy source, that being electricity, and electricity alone, then something else will give. Believe me, and we will be in a panic situation. If we are sensible about the way we use energy, hybrid cars are the way to go, especially in Scotland. I don't believe in absolutely plugging the car in and hoping for the best and hoping you're going to get up to Inverness. You have to have some petrol there. You have to have some electricity for when you're in the city. Clean up the cities. Let's think differently. That's fine. But as I say, let's get the energy mix into our head. And there are opportunities to blossom if we actually adopt these kind of policies and ways of thinking. So I'm going to sort of conclude and move on and let somebody else in, because I've got quite strong feelings about the way we're doing things just now. This, I reckon, is probably a message from the man above telling us to do things differently. If it is, I think we've just got to take it on board and work through it. There will be other virus. Something else will happen, and we're going to have to. This is the largest peacetime problem we've ever had to deal with, and Lord knows it. My mother went through 2 world wars and died at the age of 102 and a half to tell me all about it. And if she was here today, she'd probably say, this is hell on earth. It's not. We can get through this, guys. There's a positive side to everything if we're sensible about it. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye and cheerio, because I do have to go, unfortunately, to this funeral today. But hopefully I've been of some help to you. And if there are any questions, please let the guys know, and I'll do my best to answer them. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to another one of these, because I think they're great.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ernie. That was really informative. Sorry about what you have to go to, but thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Not at all, my pleasure.
So I'll hand over to Alison now, and she can go over a bit of what the Chamber's doing. And that, Alison, would you like the slide back up just so you can show all the points that you want to go over, or you got it all memorised?
No, it's fine.
Okay, doke. So brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I just want to add my thanks to everybody else to Ernie for joining us, and to everybody else for taking part in what is our very first webinar. And it's one of those things where I said on an email yesterday, our team have absolutely shown what we need a business's team to be like this week. They've all jumped into remote working. They've been absolutely brilliant. We said earlier on in the week, we can't do face-to-face events our business adapt, and our business adapts by doing new things like webinars and other things. So it's brilliant to see so many people on this morning. It's great to reach lots of different people, and we knew already that we had several questions from exporters and importers, particularly with all sorts of queries about international trade. So we thought we'll start with international trade. There'll definitely be an awful lot more of these. In fact, I think my social media feed is covered with webinars and other things. So there's going to be lots of ways for us to work remotely but not stay socially isolated. And I think that's really important too. Anyway, I want to give you 5 minutes or so just on the support for employers and businesses. This is all moving incredibly fast, and we're trying to keep up with that as much as we can so that we can bring businesses information as well. And there's a range of information which can be a bit confusing, but actually covers all sorts of different aspects. So the Chamber has created a COVID-19 hub on our website that's got all sorts of data there, but it's got information from the UK government, it's got information from the Scottish government, and it's important, I think, that we look at both those sources, because the UK government will come out and say that they are bringing in certain measures for businesses. Some of them apply to us all, and some of them we've then got the devolved governments to think about. So things like emergency loans and resilience loans are all available, but yet we don't at the moment know how you're going to apply for those, and that's something that we're pushing for. Let's get data on how we can actually get that money into businesses' hands as quickly as possible. When the UK government will come out and talk about business rates, clearly that only applies south of the border, and it's really important then that the Scottish government can act as quickly as possible to help us get some clarity on how the business rate scenario will be dealt with in Scotland. We've got some clarity on that, although we have got information about the different businesses that will be able to claim or get some kind of rates relief and holidays. What we don't know yet is how that actually is going to happen. Again, we are trying to get clarity just so that you know how you can plan and look at your cash flow. HMRC, it's always been an option for any business to contact HMRC and say, can I have a holiday, please, a payment holiday from my VAT, my PAYE, your NI bills that you've got to pay. And on our COVID hub, there is the phone number there for you to actually get in touch with them. Now, a bit like other phone numbers that currently exist, you're definitely going to find that it's going to be a challenge getting through. But I would say persevere with that, because until there's a further announcement, and we hope that this, again, we're pushing for a further announcement for this all to become much, much simpler. But if you can buy yourself some breathing space and actually take a pause on some of your big outgoings, then that's clearly got to be something that you've got to consider doing much sooner rather than later. The Scottish Government have a range of business support, and we would always encourage you, if you're account managed already by Scottish Enterprise, then please pick the phone up to your account manager. If Business Gateway help you out and you've got somebody that's helping you on growth or on any kind of business support, then it's always better to make contact with a person that you have already got a relationship with. But there's a very wide-ranging business support line that has been set up. Now, it's going through wrinkles at the moment because the demand is enormous. And I would say, if possible, bear with that, because I know at the moment it's really beginning to creak under the strain. But I also know that Scottish Government is working very hard to get extra resource onto that helpline. Unfortunately, a little bit like us, they don't have answers for all the questions that all businesses have got. And announcements from government are happening, and people that have to then get that policy and put that policy into practice are definitely finding it difficult to get their processes in place. Exactly the same stories we're hearing with the banks. I mean, the government have said that they fully expect the banks to support and give payment holidays for business loans and for mortgages. We're now hearing, obviously, support for people who are renting. So this is not just all business support. There's very much community support available for people as well. However, I am hearing that people have contacted the bank and been told no, or no, not yet, or we just don't know. And it's really important that we get that clarity out of the way, so that you know where you stand. If I was a betting person, which I'm not, I would say it's going to be next week, hopefully the start of next week, before we can really get some answers to some of this. And remember that it's people at the end of the line there in banks and business helplines who are trying their very, very best to give the best customer service, but they will need our patience as much as we desperately need the help. Chamber services, please don't forget, whether you're a member of our chamber or you're a member of another chamber and you're dialing from somewhere else, the chamber network has got a whole range of services, most of which you can access completely free because they're part and parcel of your membership. There's a chamber HR, legal and health and safety support facility. There's a website that's got loads of templates. There is a helpline that you can call and get some relatively standard advice. It definitely doesn't take away from you using somebody on your doorstep that you've got a strong relationship with that already gives you legal advice or health and safety advice, or your accountant giving you financial advice. But if you're needing a low level of information and you just want to get in touch with somebody that can maybe put your mind at rest for something that you're implementing in your business, then please get in touch with your chamber, get your member login for that and get in touch with that service because it is invaluable. So I think that's probably a bit of a roundup of the things that I wanted to tell you about. We are doing all sorts of different things at the chamber to try and adapt what we do as a business. We're remote working. We're using Microsoft Teams to connect with each other. We're using our social media like mad to get messages out and continue to tell people that it's business as usual. You know, we have got news channels. If you're doing something different or you want to get the message out about something that your business is doing, then please use that. We have started a delivery news page on our website for all the tourism and hospitality businesses that are impacted by closures and the fact that government have advised people not to go and visit them. So we've got, I think, around about 20 local businesses that have adapted what they do and are now doing deliveries. So anybody you know that's doing deliveries that we might not know about, please send that over to us so we can add them to that list. And the chamber will carry on doing as much as we possibly can. We're already fielding inquiries and calls from non-members, and at this moment in time, a business is a business is a business to us. You need help. We have got a network that is connected into Holyrood, connected into Westminster, and between us we will be able to have as many of the answers, hopefully, as we possibly can get for you. And if we don't know, you can be absolutely sure there's somebody in our network like Ernie or Anne that can share their experience and help you get over the difficulties that you're currently facing. It's hugely important that we support our people in our businesses and our colleagues and our neighbours and our friends. And I'm just counting my blessings that I don't have school children of an age where they're going to be at home with me, because it's going to be such a struggle for people to try and work while they manage their kids, and that's just an enormous headache and worry for everybody. So please come and connect with the chamber. Anything at all we can do to support, we will absolutely do. And hopefully when we come out the other side, we'll all have adapted slightly, we'll have survived, and it'll be time to kind of pick things up and keep going again. But like Ernie, I would say there are positives. We would never be doing a webinar like this if it wasn't for the current situation. So it's taken us right out of our comfort zone. But our team have done a fantastic job in pulling this together so quickly, and I really appreciate that. And if we have Anne available to kind of take over from me next, then I'll hand over to Anne, and then we've got a bit of time for questions at the end. So thanks, folks.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Could just nod, Alison, if you can hear me. Good, because I had huge issues. I've got a few things to talk about. Let's talk about the international stuff first. So one of our big markets is in Africa. We just made a massive breakthrough there in Zambia. husband and son had just come back from there, and they were going to see this massive dam that we were going to do fire systems for, and also there was another project they were going to do which would be bigger than our UK market. So they were supposed to travel out there Saturday, and that's all been cancelled. Interestingly, Africa has been dealing with coronavirus really well, far better than the country. Howard said there's washing stations in the street and everything. That's not the issue of being in Africa. They would have been safer there than here. It's the travelling to and from. So that's been they've not been able to go. Unfortunately, the type of businesses I'm talking about in Zambia, they don't do very well on Skype. That's not their mechanism. So I think a lot of the projects will be shelved, hopefully, but who knows how long this is going to take. So with regard to the Zambia market, we're going to keep in touch on email. They use WhatsApp. They don't even use the phone. They use WhatsApp. So we're going to WhatsApp them, keep them informed of everything, share photos of the job we did there, because we're trying to build our presence in Zambia without being there, which is going to be quite difficult. We've also got an agent in Nigeria. Everybody knows if you're going to do a job abroad, it takes you between 9 months and a year to actually boots on ground. So there's an awful lot you can do before that, which is find people that you trust. Hopefully you've already got people in these countries. Go and ask other businesses that trade in that country. And if they've got a really trusted agent, see if you can get in contact with them either on the phone. Again, I will stress in Africa, they all use WhatsApp. Create a relationship, send your documentation over. So you're doing that business development piece all the while, even though you can't actually go there. They also understand, every single country understands. We had a big job we bid for in Baku, and we're absolutely gutted to find out on Monday that we haven't been awarded it. Part of that reason will be because they'll have gone with a local company. Now, that local company probably won't provide the best solution, but you can completely understand why would you give it to a company that's in another country and you can't even say when you'll be able to go there. A lot of what we do is safety critical systems. So when they contact us, the work's needed right away. So it's not that things can be pushed out to the right. Everything's being pushed out to the right. That's our real worry. We work offshore in the North Sea. We've just had a lot of our people return to us safely, I'm delighted to say. And we've been told it will be non-essential personnel. Now, we haven't been told officially that it's right across the North Sea, but the suggestion has been that as of this weekend, there'll be no non-essential personnel till August at least. So this is devastating to a business like ours, because obviously that's a lot of our bread and butter. IR35, dare I say it, has been pushed back for 1 year. Do you know what? We won't have any subcontractors, because if we're not operating in the North Sea, we don't need the subcontractors. Now, we use a subcontract work base. When they're not with us, they're joiners and they're plumbers, so they're going to be okay, because although they're not our employees, we care about them and we're close to them. So we've probably got about 20 that we use frequently for projects. We'll keep in touch with them. We'll make sure that they're okay. We're not bound to do anything for them, but actually they're human beings and they've all got families, and most of the time we know the family as well. So we'll keep in touch with them and check what's going on. I'm just looking down. I've made a list of all the different things we've had to get a little bit inventive very, very quickly. So in the face of adversity, there's also opportunity always. And we found a couple of new markets that we might be able to operate in. Absolutely nothing to do with offshore, nothing to do with wind energy. It's the residential market and also the commercial market as well. But speed is of the essence, and the companies that are in the Dundee chamber were all fleet of foot. So what we've done is I'm designated the person to deal with all the COVID-19 stuff, and I genuinely thought that would just be like a little bit of my day. I have no honestly, lamb to the slaughter with this one, because I am shattered already, because I am dealing with human beings who are freaking out. These are really well-educated people. They've been with us for 10 or more years, And I am seeing behaviour in the office I have never seen in my entire life. So it's just that it's being they're being whipped up into a storm. I love Piers Morgan, but no more Piers, no more. And I'm just trying to be really professional, and I'm finding it difficult. IR35 I've mentioned, so anybody worried about IR35, worry no more. It's going to be delayed till at least a year, I was told yesterday by Deloitte, which is fantastic. I've got a conference call at 11 o'clock with Oil and Gas UK. Unfortunately, they're announcing all the changes in the North Sea because of COVID-19, and they're also announcing the past year of supply chain and how that's done. I was contacted by the BBC last night, and this is a word of warning to anybody that's contacted by the media. Say nothing, because they're not always going to actually portray you as you think you are. I think Alison's probably many times been in the media. I just put them onto our PR department up at Balmoral. We're part of Balmoral Group now. He wanted a quote of what I thought was going to happen to the oil and gas supply chain. I'm not going to say that publicly. I'm really concerned about most of my friends who are business owners. We're part of this huge organisation, Balmoral Group, who are really, really professional and have all the checks and balances in place. The smaller businesses, I don't blame anybody for shutting the doors, because we've just been through this horrendous downturn, and it seems like we're going to go through one again, and people can't be nimble and try and diversify out into something else. I completely accept that. We're finding orders pushed back, which is a real shame. So orders that we had, we've got one with an operator where we're just waiting for a purchase order. Unfortunately, they've sort of pushed that back, but that's okay, because that will come. It's just that it's not right now. Spoke to I spent 2 days trying to contact our HR advisors, who are Law at Work, who are fabulous advice from them. When I finally got hold of somebody, I said, tell me what everybody's saying. What are the calls that you're getting? And she just said it's mass redundancy. So I hadn't even considered that, I won't lie, because we're not in that situation. We're very, very fortunate. But they're obviously advising companies every 10 minutes on how to get through this. So we need to look out there that everybody's all right, because that's the partners of the people you employ. All the conferences have been cancelled, which is a great shame, because that's what we were going into new markets. We're going to try and do these like we're talking now, but it's a difficult one, because not many people can speak at the same time. We tried to do it with 7 people on Sunday, and it was no mitigated disaster. All 7 were women, by the way, and we were all trying to speak at the same time. So one of the things we've done is, which is maybe a positive, is we've started to look through every single piece of kit we've ever put out there, because our records are fantastic. So we're going to contact the people where we've supplied kit and say, hey, you've had that for 12 years. It needs servicing or maintenance. We know what the legal regulations are, so we'll check that out. If anybody else does kit, I would thoroughly suggest this could be a line of business that you could do. It'll be smaller jobs, but hopefully it'll keep people busy and keep people going. People keep asking me, have I got pandemic insurance? Has anybody? I don't know. I haven't checked the record yet. This was a local cafe that asked me, and I said to him, what? What? So I'll check our records, but I don't know if anybody has that. What we're seeing is insurance going through the roof, the absolute roof, because it's claim after claim after claim, be it, all of the wildfires around the world, or Grenfell, of course, very sadly. So the insurance market for anybody who has a product like ourselves, fire systems, I'm just trying to think of new possible markets for Blaze. I hope it gives some inspiration of blue sky thinking of just anything else you can do just to keep busy. I just want to come back to in the office. So it's bad enough worrying about your dad who lives with you, who's 86, who's driving me crazy. But in the office every day, just because you're the boss doesn't mean you can be the one that everybody shouts at when they're frightened, and it's because people are frightened. And when they download onto you, or they tell you how worried they are, and you're having to make a decision whether somebody's in the office or out of the office, who get paid, who doesn't get paid, that can be a situation as well in a lot of businesses. Being a business owner is a very, very lonely place to be. I'm lucky, or not, that I run Blaze with Howard. We're trying to get home every night before 7 because my dad's at home all day. He's self-isolating. So we try really hard to be earlier than that, but it's difficult. When we get home, we are absolutely shattered. And all my dad wants to talk about is what he's seen on the television. And it's that support of the different business owners. I'm still going to local cafes, although part of my family hates me for it, because these places are going to close down. I'm friends with most of them. We run a small business club. If I could just say, if anybody's in an area where you've got smaller businesses, we've set up an email chain with every single small business I can get hold of. I have access to far more information from yourself, Alison, from the CBI, from Holyrood. I get access to so much more information than the Arch Cafe in Fettercairn, or Busy's, which is on the high street, or the home store. They have access to no information. If I can get it to them quickly, and I'll be sharing everything the chamber sends as well. We're also trying to get them some help with HR for free and accounting for free, just advice, because they're all very concerned about how they're going to go on. I don't want them to shut down, and that can be for selfish reasons because they're amazing, but these are all business owners just the same as me. I think, Alison, you mentioned it doesn't matter whether you've got one employee or you've got 700. We're all just business owners. We're all just doing the same thing. We're just doing it on a different scale. And I tell you what, if you've got 700 staff, you've got a whole department sorting out your HR. I'm sorting it out for Blaze. We've got 24 people, and I'm trying to look after all them and our subcontract workforce. I think that I don't want to bore anybody. And I know a lot of that was very down, but I hope there was bits of inspiration there as well. But I'll maybe hand back and you can do the questions.
Thanks very much,
Thank you
Anne.
very much, Anne. I'll just pass you over to Vince, everyone. Vince has been monitoring the conversations for questions and things like that. So I'll leave you with Vince, and hopefully we'll get a couple of questions. We've got about 10 minutes left, so hopefully we'll get a few interesting more points.
Yeah, thanks very much for everybody for attending today. We have had a couple of questions. First one comes from Mary McTaggart, and I think Alison might be better placed to answer it. Mary's asked, so if a business is going to be making any changes over the coming months and weeks, who exactly do they get in touch with at the chamber to discuss how they go about this? Could you answer that question, Alison?
Yeah, so anybody is my answer. So, I mean, people can get in touch with me, they can get in touch with Keith or Vince if it's about international questions they've got, but actually any one of our team will answer any question. And if we don't know the answer, then we'll get the answer from the Chamber Network. So we have had some changes in the team recently. So those of you that are joining might not even actually have met Vince or Keith, but they have virtually both completed a month with the Chamber, and it's quite a baptism of fire, isn't it, when you've got new people and all of a sudden you're going, by the way, we need to do webinars and we need to remote work, and things are just changing so fast. But anybody in our team, there's contact details on our website. We are going to be making contact with every single one of our members over the next 24 hours just to let them know that we are there and to answer any questions they've got. So if people have got questions about how have we done this today, how have we got this webinar going, how have we set up remote working, how have we thought about our internal processes and procedures, anything like that, you can ask any of the team at all.
Perfect. So I'd just like to raise some questions with the room, if that's okay. We've been hearing that as a number of exporters are having difficulties at exporting their goods over borders, in particular by road. And given the news that happened in China when they were at the height of their COVID-19 outbreak, they saw issues with shipping freight, so sea freight. I just want to ask, has any traders out there experienced any issues in getting their goods into international markets at the moment?
And while Vince is asking that question, I would just remind you that you're probably all on mute. So if you do want to ask a question, you'll have to unmute yourself before you speak. But yeah, we'd be delighted to hear from anybody. I see Katrina at Tillybarton saying that they are not experiencing anything at the moment, Vince.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you do experience any issues, please get in touch with the international team at the Chamber so that we can monitor, log it, and send it on to the Scottish and the UK government so that action can be taken to alleviate the pressures. Just one last thing is, of course, you've probably seen a change in demand, or you may not be, but we are interested to monitor the changes in demand of your goods, particularly within international markets, as countries all around the world start to close down and change their buying habits. How is that affecting your business, and what support can the Chamber provide you? Does anybody have any thoughts on what support you might require in continuing your international operation? Is there anything you'd like to see us do so that we could help and maintain your operation? Dead silence. It's very awkward when put a question out and there's no response. That's okay. If you do have any issues, if you do experience any changes within your trade internationally, again, just get in touch with us. If there's no other questions, I'd like to touch on the export documentation service at the Chamber of Commerce is continuing as a full service. We haven't changed anything. We're still expecting to have a turnaround of 1 working day on your export docs. That includes ATRs and EUR ones. The only minor adjustment we've got is for wet signatures. So if you do need any documents certified with a wet signature, there might be around about a 3-day turnaround, just as we sort of move a physical document through our houses, I guess, and get it back to you. But just keep that in mind. Everything else is maintaining the same, and as Alison says, it's business as usual. Does anybody have any questions in regards to what was spoken about today?
Silence seems good.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to put this in the chat anyway, but just I'm aware that some of people's concerns are definitely going to be business sensitive, and commercially you might not want to share information, and that's absolutely understandable. I wouldn't want you to share anything that you weren't comfortable with, certainly on a webinar like this. We will put the webinar link out on social media, and people will then be able to look at it and get hints and tips from both of our speakers, Anne and Ernie, that have been on today. But if you've got any questions at all, any thoughts on the support. So we came into this webinar today with 3 things to kind of discuss. What are the current issues? What mitigating measures are people putting into place? And what support do you need? What do you need now? What do you need in the summer? What do you need in 6 months' time? And we really need to keep gathering all of that information. So for those of you that particularly have got a query or feedback on international trade, we've got an international@Dundee and Angus Chamber.co.uk email address. Our whole team monitor that inbox, and anything at all that you want to fire in there that will help us get the right support. And maybe you're not needing support, but you know of somebody that's needing something, then please fire that to us. Every single thing we get from businesses like that is kept very confidential. We're happy to even anonymise that as we feed that data into Scottish Government. But the more that we know about the good things and the bad things and the indifferent things that are happening in people's businesses, the more we can feed that through to government, and the more that they can then adapt the support that's needed. if it's something that your staff are bringing to you because it's actually affecting their personal, specifically to do with your business, we'll take all of that and we'll pass that on. It's what we're here for. So I guess that's just a bit of an early thanks from me. But yeah, Vince, back to you to kind of wrap us up, I think.
Yep. So just a few things coming through from Brian, Willie, and Mary and Michelle. Yeah, I mean, we're very keen to be proactive at the Chamber and assist as much as possible in terms of help on micro business support. Definitely get in touch with the Chamber, whether that's Alison, Ross, myself, Keith, Katie, Lindsay, or Sarah. Did I actually get everybody there? That's surprising. Just give us a call. We do have access to our phones. Send us an email. We're definitely keen to try help businesses get through this. So thank you so much. Willie mentioned that if you haven't activated the cloud or VPN access to the data, then that might be something worth looking into. If you take a look over the chat, Willie also mentioned procurement. Willie, have you got a mic there?
Hi. Yes,
Willie.
Vince, I do.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I recognise that, from the point of view of all businesses that engage with obviously the pipeline of business going forward over the next 3 months, but actually beyond that is going to be vital to every one of them. I've got good links to the powers that be. Therefore, I, on Monday, sat down and tried to think, well, what is businesses' wish list? And then communicated that to the relevant people. And that was also shared with a number of other interface organisations, and they've basically got behind that. So hopefully things will actually happen that will actually help all businesses in the near future.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Willie. So that's us dead on 11. Perfect timing.
Just to jump in with one last thing, we'll try and condense all the information that you have given us, and we'll try and make sure we catch everyone on our checklist. We'll then try and send you like a little survey just to tell us how you found this format and what we could do to improve it in the future, so that we can, this is going to be this might be hopefully just a few weeks, but it's looking like a long few months. So we really want to keep engaging with you as many webinars as possible. So if you give us topic ideas and things like that, we'd be really much appreciated, so we can just keep this ball rolling.
Yep. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Keep an eye on our social media, and we'll let you know when the next one is. Yep. That's all right.
Brilliant. Thank you so very much for coming.
Have a lovely day.
Bye.